So we just got back from South Carolina and we decided we have a beautiful day outside, so we're going to smoke 2 whole chickens. My husband has seasoned them with the Pork and Poultry by Traeger. We do not have a Traeger, but we do have an electric smoker. We've had it for a couple of years and we've smoked quite a bit on it. We do enjoy doing this. But it's a honey and apple, and surprisingly, my husband doesn't usually like sweet, but we figured this would work really well for it. So with the smoked chicken, I'm gonna do a corn relish, and it's just very, very simple. We prefer the frozen corn. If I can get fresh, I would do fresh. And then it's an onion. I've already taken a half cup of vinegar and a half cup of water, brought it to a boil. Well, this isn't the nicest onion. It's fine, I can still use it. Half cup water, half cup vinegar, brought it to a boil, turned it off, and then added in a tablespoon of sugar. Kind of makes it the salt, it makes it the sweet and savory, you know, vinegar and sugar. I don't like it too sweet. We still like the bite of the vinegar, but it just makes it kind of like a pickle in a way. And then I add in usually an onion. You can add in whatever you prefer. I've even seen it done with cucumbers. I make a cucumber salad, but I usually use just cucumbers and onions. I'm one of those, I like to see it before I keep adding to it. Because we like ours with a lot of onion. Boom, this is a strong one. Everybody cuts their onions differently. I'm not exactly sure where I picked this up. Just how I cut an onion. Any color of pepper will work. I just happen to have this one in the refrigerator and I wanted to use it up. We've been out of town for almost a week. So the only thing we really went and picked up was the 2 chickens to smoke. And then my husband decided to go out today and get barbecue sauce. He has a problem with condiments. That's why I don't usually send him to a store. The man can come home with condiments. And then I spend the next 6 months trying to get rid of them in everything that's possible. I don't know, is everybody else's husband like that? It just makes me giggle when he goes and comes home. This time it was Baja sauce. He got barbecue for today, which I understood. He wanted new barbecue. It was the Baja sauce for the tacos. Yes, I'm making tacos this week of some sort. Because it is a relish to put on things, I usually cut things pretty small. I was doing a salsa. Sometimes I do it small, sometimes I do it chunkier, it just depends. This is all preference. So you make it however you want. A recipe in my mind is a guide. Doesn't mean I have to follow it. No point in making something my family won't eat. And that's typically what I do. I don't make things even though I might like them if I know that nobody else in the house is going to eat it, because it really does not do any good. Now this is my weird little trick. If I'm using frozen corn and not using fresh, I put it in the frozen. So when the hot liquid from, and I don't put the liquid in boiling or anything, it's been sitting here turned off. I will typically, somehow that one didn't separate at all. Too funny. That would have been a lot of big pieces in there. while we were gone in South Carolina, we went into Greenville and we ate at a barbecue place in downtown Greenville called Sticky Fingers. And it was so good. It made my husband go, when we get home, I'm going to smoke something. So, there you go. Okay, let's see. Like I said, I just eye everything. I can give measurements. I just like to see how it looks when I put it together and if I want more things. The other side of this is probably just for me and my husband. I doubt the child will eat it. Last year I made a big batch of corn relish, and we had been given 30 ears of fresh corn from someone's garden. And yes, I'm in Indiana, so corn is good here. So anytime anybody wants to give me some, I'm always willing to take it. Now, as I said, this is just the vinegar, the sugar, and the water. I always do a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper, if I can get it off. There we go. Give it a real good mix. I usually will taste it just to make sure I like it vinegary. You might want to taste it to make sure it's not too vinegary. But what I was saying earlier is you use the frozen corn, and when you put the hot liquid over the top, it'll cool down because you've got the frozen corn. And if it's fresh corn, it cooks, it just blanches it, just the barest amount, and that's all I ever want. So now I'm gonna make the green beans. These are not my recipe. They are Mandy in the making. My husband absolutely loves these, and they are so easy to do. But they do take a little bit of time. So, as always, no measurements because I just cook the way I like. So it is bacon, green beans, chicken stock, onions, and the key is, and it's not very much, it's like a tablespoon of brown sugar. And I don't know what it is, but it works. It works really well. So get your pan good and hot. Get the bacon cooked. While the bacon is cooking, we're going to get the onion chopped. My onions are not very nice. But I'm just going to use them up. I have to go to the grocery store tomorrow, and evidently I'm taking my mother. My father had knee surgery last week before we left for South Carolina. And she's been running up to the store while we were gone, just to Needlers. She's more than capable. But she's been going to Needlers, and she said she paid $2 something for an onion, and she doesn't want to do that again. Needler's is like a little tiny, just, it's up the road grocery store. It's one of those you only go to there when you don't feel like driving somewhere else to get something, because I cannot imagine grocery shopping there for everything. It's just, it's very expensive. She said the quality of the onion was wonderful, but not for that much. After you get the bacon cooked, just add in the onions, leave the grease in the pan. You'll want it. You'll want it for the flavor. Once you get the onions the way you want them, now throw in a can lid too. Throw in 2 cans. Chicken stock or broth, or you can use bouillon and water. And as I said, the secret ingredient, that's not secret, is the brown sugar. And what you do is you just let this slow cook and let it cook down. Throw the bacon back in too. Nice, simple, easy. Oh, so delicious. I bring them up to a good simmer, and then I just let them reduce. If dinner's not done, then I will just go ahead and re-add more chicken broth while I'm doing this, but typically I just let it go, and what you're trying to do is reduce all that stock down so that all the flavors in the green beans. For the other side, I'm just going to take, I had a whole bag of these little potatoes still in the cupboard from before we left, and they need to get eaten, so I am just splitting them in half. I've already washed them. Just real simple. In the summers, we use the smoker and the grill a lot more because it gets hot in the house. Even with AC, the joys of living in Indiana. I know I'm looking to move somewhere even warmer. I'm just trying to get away from the winters here. So typically what I do is I just get them really well coated in olive oil. You can put them in a Ziploc bag and do this. I thought it would look better if I do it like this. And here's the trick, and there's no trick. This just makes life really simple and really easy. It's a packet of, and we got the beefy onion, Lipton onion soup mix. I start with about a half a package. Sometimes I have to add more oil too. What I do is I cook them in my air fryer, so that way I'm not having to turn my oven on. During the summer, spring, summer, and fall, I try never to turn my oven on unless it's early in the morning or real late at night, because my husband likes pizza, and we continue to do pizza through the summer. But to me, this is just having the air fryer made it life so much more simpler, and I can use it to do all the things that we typically do in an oven. And I have a rather large air fryer. It's a Gorma. It isn't the basket type, it's the type that looks like an oven. I wanted that one over the one where you shake, just so that I could cook things like this in it and have a second oven versus just an air fryer, of course. I'm gonna make a mess today. So I put them on the screen. I sprayed my screen. It should be well seasoned at this point, but it's just a habit. And then I laid them all flat, because this is how I would do it in the oven anyways, so that way they can get evenly cooked. I think they're going in at 425 for about 18 minutes is the setting I have it on. Okay.
You can eat it, bud.
Get hot. It is hot, hot, hot. Ow. I'm trying to figure out. I can't break the bone. It's done, but it's so hot. Thank you. That's thighs.
I'm not seeing any blood.
Well, it's done. I mean, look at that, it's just coming apart. So for dinner tonight, I'm gonna take last night's smoked chicken, which I've already cubed up, and before I came on, I forgot and added an entire can of green chilies. That's the base for the green chicken chili enchiladas. I pour a little bit, and you can use any enchilada sauce. You can do this with red. I prefer the green. I just like to have a little bit of moisture in them. Plus we're gonna add cheese to this too. And then I add, you can do a taco seasoning pack. There is no problem with that. I'm gonna add garlic powder, chili powder. Basically you're making your own taco seasoning. Cumin. And we like cumin. And smoked paprika. I do this typically just because it doesn't add all the extra salt. Not that it's a problem with salt, I just feel like this tastes better. But I use taco seasoning packets when I'm in a hurry. And I always have them on the shelf in case someone else needs to cook dinner and they want it easy. My husband will make a homemade taco seasoning. The boys won't. And that's all I do. I just do basic. And this is a really simple basic meal. I shredded up Monterey Jack. It's just what we prefer. At the bottom of the casserole dish, and yes, I have a huge one here, I'm gonna pour the enchilada sauce. Maybe it'll come out. There it goes. You know, we jazz up the top of the sauce a little bit, but the bottom I don't have to. I can just toss the sauce in. Make these as small or as big as you want. I'm feeding hungry boys, and we cooked so much chicken yesterday. I still have chicken left, even after making this. So I might be freezing some smoked chicken for something for later, because I don't want to keep eating it. People in the house might get angry. And yes, that is a thing. I'm sure it is in your house too. It's only so many days they want to eat the same things. As long as I totally recreate it, I can usually get away with a day or two with the same protein. And if you don't like Monterey Jack, add whatever kind of cheese you like. We just like it. So after you get them all rolled, I ended up doing 9, but I wanted ours to be heavy. I didn't do them so they were skimpy. When I still had 2 boys at home, I'd make 2 pans of this. I never know when the 23-year-old's gonna show up, and I'm tired of having that many leftovers. As I said, my husband will eat leftovers for a day or so, but I understand after that. So the only thing wrong with green enchilada sauce, in my opinion, is, and that's not a problem, but they put the pieces of the green chilies in it, so sometimes it's a little thicker, and sometimes it doesn't come out real well. So you end up sitting here shaking it. Because I only put holes in it instead of, which is my fault. This is what I do to doctor this sauce up a little bit. I love sour cream, and I used to make sour cream enchiladas. Well, one of my boys doesn't like sour cream. When he was little, he's the 21-year-old, doesn't live here anymore. That's why it's going in. He used to call it the devil's cream. I just went with it. I never understood, thought it was funny. I just let it go. Just mix it. This sour cream that I get at Aldi's is a little thicker. You don't want to put too much in. It'll water it down so much. Like I said, this isn't rocket science. This is a quick, easy meal. You could have used a rotisserie chicken. You could have thrown some chicken breasts in a... What was I going to say? You should have thrown chicken breasts in the Instapot. Boil them on the stove. This is called get food on the table because we're hungry. And that's how some nights are when you work. And we all work here. We all work outside the home. So I have to get dinner on the table, and I still want to relax and sit down at the end of the evening or go out and work on the yard, clean the house. I'm very bad because my job is so physical. I have gotten to a very bad habit of not doing as much through the week and trying to cram it all on my days off. So that's the new thing that I'm going to try to work on, is doing things during the week so that it isn't so much on my days off. And then top with cheese. I bought a pound of the Monterey Jack because I knew next we do taco night once a week, so we'll use it up next week, or who knows if someone will get into it and do more cheese on top. I'm glad I got the pound and not instead of one small brick because I shredded the entire pound and there's possibly about 3 to 4 ounces left, and that's it. I'll show you what it looks like when I get it out of the oven. It took about 25-30 minutes and it was about 350. And now they are out and look wonderful. So I'm making Fallon from Moth TV's squash casserole. All I've done so far is cut up the squash nice and thin with the onions, and then I have seasoned it. She said just salt and pepper. I went ahead and threw some garlic pepper in, or garlic powder in on it also, just for a little bit more flavor. After you saute it and make sure it's nice and soft, you're going to put it in a bowl. You're going to add about a half cup sour cream. I did 4 small squash. Her recipe calls for 3 to 4. And I've seen her make it with big squash and little, so. This is just going to mix in. I will link her video where she makes it down below. You just want it to be just in there. And like I said, you can season it at this point. I go ahead and season it when it's cooking. Whatever works for you. After this, it is a half cup Parmesan. You can use fresh. I don't have any, so it is the green stuff. Cheddar cheese. It called for a cup, but I'm going to put the rest of it on top. Mix this up. And then you're going to bake it at 350 for about 30 minutes. This might be a way of getting kids to eat vegetables. Mine still would turn their nose up, but mine are all adults. So just put this in. And then it calls for more cheese. And medium crushed Ritz crackers. Just goes on top. I like everything that's in this. Okay. 350 for about 30 minutes. So we're also going to do pork chops in the cast iron. I was planning on grilling them, but it's Indiana, so it's raining out. So I got a package of bone-in center cut pork chops at Aldi. Not as big as the ones I usually get in my flash food orders, but that's okay. So I'm going to lightly put some Worcestershire on them. Not a lot, just enough to coat. No, I got all my stuff. This is just going to add some flavor. And then tonight I'm going to do Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse, but we have found out that it doesn't have enough garlic for us. So I'm gonna pour this on. This is the end of this container. And then I'm gonna add some garlic powder. I don't know if we just like things more garlicky or there's just no garlic flavor to it. And then flip them over. I've been letting them sit out. They've been out a good half hour. It's a work night for me, so needless to say, I set them out before I even changed my clothes. And then I started everything else. I usually try to get meat up to temp so that it's not the temperature of the refrigerator. Some nights it works, sometimes it doesn't. Fresh container. I get this at Sam's Club because it's only about $6 for this, and this lasts us a while. You can find it at Walmart if you want to try it and have it, but it's more expensive, and it's a smaller container. This is 9.5 ounces. The ones there are, I think, are under 5. I could be wrong though. I've got a cast iron heated up on my stove. I let this heat as much as I can before I put these in, and you can hear it. Make sure you get a good sear and they will not stick to your pan.
So quick and easy. These only took about 10 to 12 minutes, I think, because they're so much thinner than the ones I usually buy. But they're ready to go, and we're doing squash casserole, and that is how that looks. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. My aunts live in South Carolina, and I remember my grandmother always having butter on the counter, and she had some, it was always in something, but I can't remember what it was. Well, this is called a butter bell or a butter crock. You put water at the bottom of it, and you take an entire stick of butter, so you can see how big it is, fits perfectly inside of it. You keep this on your counter. The nice thing is with the water and the way this sits in there, it keeps your butter fresh. Evidently this has been around forever. They're just really nice. I just thought I'd share.